Greetings and salutations, and thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to show you how to do a network install of Ubuntu. This is for advanced users who would have a reason for wanting to do a network install. This is not the standard procedure for installing Ubuntu, and if you don't know your way around the system, you could probably get lost real easy. So I would suggest that if you're brand new to Linux that you use the regular install method and then kind of work your way up to doing this if you have a reason to. Why would you want to do a network install over a standard install? There's a lot of good reasons why. First of all, the network install allows you to choose the software that you want as you roll along. So if you want to put an Ubuntu system together bit by bit, this allows you to do that. Also, you don't have to know exactly what spin of Ubuntu you want to install. You can install anything from this tool. You could have this tool downloaded, and then if you needed to do an Ubuntu install, maybe you need to set up a server on this machine. Maybe you need to set up a Ubuntu Mate desktop over here. It doesn't matter. You can do it with the same installer. Also, this will let you put Ubuntu on devices that ordinarily it would be hard to do. Like, let's say you had a 32-bit machine, an old machine, you wanted to put Ubuntu Mate on it, but you can't boot that machine easily off of a USB stick. It doesn't have a DVD drive in it, for instance. You know, there are alternative ways to do that, but this is pretty much the simplest way to get this accomplished. The installer file is so small you could burn it on one of those little business card size CDs and keep it with you, and then you could install it on anything you wanted to. So there are a number of reasons for wanting to do this. It's also a very clean install because you're getting the updated software immediately. It's what's on the server today. You're not downloading this great big installer image, which is actually a snapshot of the system whenever that was put together. And sometimes those images can be quite old. So you may install and then you have to update, and the update will install 500 megabytes worth of updates and change everything out. So you get a cleaner install this way. You just start fresh. It's like, okay, here we go. And there's all kinds of alternatives, different things that you can adjust as you roll along here as we do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to download here, and we're going to go to desktop. And then instead of choosing the big download button, we want alternative downloads and torrents. Network installer is right here. You would choose a version. Every supported version of Ubuntu will be listed here. Today we're going to do 1604. Then you have to choose your architecture. So this would depend on what kind of machine you're installing to, whatever hardware it is. If you're putting it on a Mac, for instance, we have an install image that will allow you to do it there. We can do it on a 64-bit system or a 32-bit system. Today we will choose 32-bit. And then it takes us to this little directory right here. The file that we are interested in is called mini ISO. It's only 55 megabytes. Go on and download that, and then burn that to a CD, DVD, or put it on a USB stick, or however you want to use it, and then you can install Ubuntu onto whatever machine you want to install it on. Now, today we are going to do this in a virtual machine, and I'm actually going to be using some different software than you guys have been seeing. I have gotten to the point where I'm fed up with VirtualBox. Version 5.1 is giving me all sorts of heartburn, and so I decided now was the time to try GNOME boxes, which is one of the reasons that I switched to using the GNOME desktop. I want to be able to use this software and have really good integration, because this is a simpler way to do virtual machines, and it doesn't offer all of the different settings and tweaks that you get in VirtualBox. But on the flip side, this is a lot easier to work with as far as getting things installed and setting up the machine. So I have already done that, so we're going to go ahead and click on this, and we're going to boot this thing up, and we're going to get started. So the first thing that you see here is the menu that comes up as soon as you boot the system. And go ahead and put this in full screen mode. And so what we want to choose here is install. There are other options here, but install is pretty much what you want. So click that. and now it will boot the system. There we go. Can't see anything yet, but the hard drive is crunching, and it's going to boot us directly into the installer. So the first thing we need to do is to choose a language. I'm going to choose English. And then it asks me where I am. I say United States. We're not going to worry about the keyboard layout. I know this is English US, so we're good. So we'll choose that. Now, what it just did is it went and found the network. If you have a wireless card in the computer that you do not need proprietary drivers for, it will offer to go ahead and use that. And I would suggest to go ahead and do that as long as you have a really good Wi-Fi connection. If not, use Ethernet. If you use Ethernet to install on your system, let's say that your Wi-Fi card needs drivers installed before it works, you may end up with a situation that when you boot it up, Network Manager doesn't do anything. There is a configuration file that you need to change to tell the system, hey, I want Network Manager to deal with all the networking. It takes it off of the subsystem that Ubuntu sets up when you do a base install. And so I'm going to put a link to the Network Manager documentation in the description to this video. And as far as the name of our VM is concerned, we're going to choose Ubuntu VM. I know, real creative, right? Now, to continue, we just hit enter. Now it's asking us about what mirror we want to use. I'm going to use United States. Enter to go ahead and select that. We are not behind any kind of a proxy here. So now we're going to continue. What it's basically going to do now is just download some files and go get what it needs to do the rest of the installation. And what I'm going to do is pause the video, and when it comes up to the next screen, we will continue. This does take some time, and it does depend on your internet connection. So if you have a slow internet connection, this could take a while. If you have a really fast connection, it could go pretty quickly. And of course, you really want to have a good steady internet connection here. You don't want anything that will drop out in the middle of the process, because if it does, you'll just have to start over. Okay, I didn't have a chance to pause. It's moving on and going to ask me another question here. First thing we're going to do is create a user. Let me get that right. I am going to use this machine, so put your name in, choose a username. We can put in a password. Okay, enter to continue. It will confirm. I am not going to encrypt my home directory. I don't know if you guys can see that on the video, but where it's opened up all these little boxes, it's kind of left a little bit of garbage on the screen. You see that? Okay. Yep, we're going to accept that. It's asked me about a time zone. It figured out where I was. Now we need to partition the hard drive. So we are going to, let's do a manual partition just to show you guys how it works. So we choose our drive. This is definitely the one we want. We want to create a new partition table. This will blank out everything on the drive. Okay. All right, click on the free space, create a new partition, tell it what size it is. In this case, we're going to give it 2. Let's go back here. It's not accepting my input for some reason. Try that one more time. Create a new partition. make it 2 gigabytes. Continue. This will be a primary partition. It'll be at the beginning of the drive. Now it's going to ask me what I want to use this partition as. We're going to make this swap area. Yep, that is correct. Done setting up the partition. Click on free space. We will create a new partition. We're going to use the rest of the space, so use the tab to go to continue, not to change anything, or press enter. This will be a primary partition, and we are going to use ext4. The mount point will be there. That's good. We can give it a label if you want to. Call it Ubuntu. Enter to continue. Bootable flag needs to be on. We are done setting up that partition. So I put a swap partition on the front of the drive, and then I put the entire system into one ext4 formatted partition, which is what we want. This is a virtual machine. Finish partitioning. Write the changes to the disk. That's your last chance to change anything. Now it is going to go out and get a bunch of packages here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and let it do this. And when it comes up to another screen that asks for input, we will return. It crunched along there for quite some time, and it dumped us at this screen right here, where we can make a decision about updates. I'm going to choose no automatic updates because we want the update manager on the desktop to handle that. And we'll see how long this takes here for this to do this. We'll come back when we get something on the screen to talk about. Okay, it didn't take too long after that. It configured a couple of files, and then it dumped us into this screen right here. And this is very important because here is where we will choose the software that we're going to install along with our base Ubuntu system. So you see we have quite a bit to choose from here, and you use the arrow up and down key to choose what you want. If you want to have Samba installed on your Ubuntu, you would choose it here. I do not. You definitely want the standard system utilities. If you do not install those, then you have a really, really basic system that can be difficult to work with, so that you want that in there for sure. I'm going to choose Ubuntu Desktop and highlight that. We'll just keep going down the list. You can see here that we can choose pretty much every official flavor of Ubuntu and have it installed here. So we've got Ubuntu Mate, and then they have different sorts of configurations of that. And you can have what they call a cloud top, a minimal installation. I'm assuming that doesn't bring in a lot of software. If you just choose, like I did, Ubuntu Desktop there, it's going to bring in the entire Unity desktop and all of the different software that's usually included with the distribution, but it is not going to install third-party software. You'll have to do that later on, and we'll do that real quick when we boot up our Ubuntu into our desktop for the first time. So I think that's what we need here to get started. We have a large selection of font packages too. You could install that if you wanted to. But we're just going to go with the basic Ubuntu desktop. I think that'll be cool. Now to continue, enter. Now it's going to go off and it's going to essentially pull down the entire Ubuntu 16.04 desktop and all of the software that ordinarily comes with this. So this part of the process is going to take some time. So we will come back when we have some input to put into the system here. That last step took a little time. It installed 13,000, or no, rather 1,383 packages, not 13,000. Boy, that's a big system. Anyway, it had to download all of that and then install it. And now it is asking whether we want to install the Grub bootloader. I'm going to tell it yes. We're coming down toward the end of the install here. There's not much more to do before we actually get to boot into a desktop. If for some reason your internet connection drops during the download, then you'll have to pretty much start over from scratch, as far as I know. That's been my experience. Okay, so we want to set the hardware clock to UTC. Most of you guys will want to do that unless you are in a dual boot with Windows. Windows does not use UTC, so if you intend to install Windows on another drive or another partition in the system, you may want to go ahead and set that to be on local time. And now we reboot. Alright, let's make sure that it ejected the disk there. Properties, devices. We want to remove empty. And then we will boot yet again, and this time around we should be into a desktop for the first time. First boot. It is crunching away. And I am liking this GNOME Boxes virtualization software. Alright, got a login screen. Put in the password. Configuring the desktop. Alright, there's our Ubuntu desktop running Unity. Put this in full screen mode. The first thing I'm going to do is change the display. So we have a there we go. So go to displays. It's taking a little while to render that. And we will choose 1280 by 800. That works nice with my machine here. And apply. Keep that configuration. And we have our Ubuntu desktop ready to rock and roll. Now, we know it works. This is good. We should not have to install any updates. Let's see if Network Manager is in control of the system. It is. So don't have to go mess with Network Manager. Seems to be working. And now we have a basic Ubuntu desktop, but we do not have any third-party stuff because the installer doesn't offer to do that. So let's go ahead and install that now. So open a terminal. This is the quickest way to do this. I did an Ubuntu install not too long ago, and this does not currently show up in the software program that they ship. It's just not there. So this is the only way to do this. So let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. And what we want to do is sudo apt install Ubuntu restricted extras. Make sure I type that correctly. Yes, looks good. And now we are going to give a password. Tell it to yes, go out and download all those packages. You can just hit enter there. You don't have to put a Y in, but I'm so used to doing it that I just do it. And it will install the packages. Also, if you need to install any drivers, you will want to do that. From this point on, it's a standard Ubuntu install, and then you can go through and change the settings to make it do what you want it to do. So let's go on to settings. Okay, took a little while to actually load that. It's working hard in the background in this virtual machine. And the only thing I want to come in here and show, we already did displays, so we can do appearance. Oop, hold on, we have to switch over here and install, or tell this thing it's okay to install restricted software. Hit tab to select OK. Yes, we want to continue. Use the arrow key to get over to the yes, and then turn the thing loose, and it will take care of installing all of the codecs. We'll also get some extra fonts in there, so definitely going to be wanting those. Okay, as far as the appearance is concerned, I want to shrink the taskbar down a bit, and I want to choose a nice dark background. I like the one with the stars. And let's see, we'll go back here to all settings once again. We want to turn the lock off since this is a virtual machine. We don't need to do that. We don't need to blank the screen. We can turn that off. The machine's never going to suspend, so that doesn't need to be on either. Go back to all settings. Let's see, what else? Power would be the next thing we have to deal with here. And we're not going to suspend the machine. That's already set, so we're good to go. So, there you have it. That is how you do a network install of Ubuntu. It appears that the network manager is in charge of the system. We did a wired install, not a wireless install, so that is good to know. Maybe you do not have to do that, but I will include those directions just in case you do anyway. And it seems that the GNOME Boxes software is working nicely. So that's just about going to do it for this particular video. Thank you for watching. Check out Easy Linux on the web. Check out Easy Linux on Facebook, and if you would, give it a like, and also take a look at freedompenguin.com. Lots of really cool articles about Linux in there from contributors such as myself. And we will do this again very soon. Thank you for watching.